to the end of the series very soon, okay? So today's topic is probably the most important one. Do you know why? Because you can know your life purpose. You understand everything, okay? Understand the stars, understand life, but you still do the wrong thing. You mess up your life, right, young man? Right? You do the wrong thing, you mess up your life. You know better. You know it's wrong to fall in love with some married person, right? But you still do. Or you know it's wrong to cheat government on taxes, you still do. Or you know it's wrong to cheat an exam, right? Do you cheat an exam? No. you still do something you know in your head is wrong. You mess up your life. So therefore, do the right thing is the key to living a good life, right? It's so obvious, right? Doing the right thing is the key to living a good life. Now, doing the right thing means doing things that doing the right thing equals to taking the responsible action. Okay? Now, how do you know? How do you know you're doing the right thing? And how do you know that you're taking a responsible action? There are two ways. Okay? One way is complete the rippling effect test. How many of you have done that? Right? Okay. Thank you. So, you do that too, right? Now, if you complete the test, you know that the negative effect is huge. You know, you have a negative effect at all levels. It will affect your family, your friends, society, but affect the environment, affect humanity. Because we're all interconnected, remember? We're all interconnected. So you will know the negative effect is huge, where the positive effect just make you feel better for the moment, okay? Just give you some cheap thrill, okay? You know the positive effect is so limited that you know it's the wrong thing to do. Am I right? Does that make sense to you, Alex, right? You will know the negative things outweigh the positive thing by a wide margin. The only good thing to get out of it is make you feel better, okay? You scold people, you feel better, okay? Or give you short-term advantage. So that's the right thing to do, right? Another way to decide what the right thing to do is to say, am I doing something that is consistent with my highest purpose, my life goal? Okay? Or would that derail my life goal? Is it consistent with my highest core values? So everybody has a conscience. Everybody has a core. Am I doing something that actually troubles my own conscience? It contrary my values. Then don't do it, right? Or am I doing something that is contrary to my best understanding, purpose, understanding, and responsibility? Is it contrary to my best understanding of the situation, of the consequences, of the impact? I understand everything in my head. I'm very clear that what I'm doing is the wrong thing, but do I still do it? You must still go ahead and do what is contrary to your purpose, your value, your best life, your best understanding. Then you will mess up your life. So that's why the R thing is very important. Do the responsible thing very important. Now, Another problem is that most problems can be resolved by accurately proportioning vulnerability. Because when you do something, okay, or when some problem occurs, often there are many sources of causality, right? So most things happen because of many factors, not just one thing. So most problems can be resolved if you can accurately proportion the vulnerability. 10% is mommy's fault. 20% is little Alex's fault. 30% is daddy's fault. 40% is God's fault. Oh, society's fault. So if we can accurately proportion the vulnerability, then it's easier. Okay, let's get some exercise. Now, who is responsible for marital problems?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
But in marriage counseling, the husband said, "It's all her. She's the problem." The Bible said, "It's him." Right? If they say both, don't win the problem, right? Instead of that, if you say it's both, they will sit down and say, "Well, how can we correct the problem?" But most cases, in divorce, invariably, it's always one person accused the other person. It's all his fault, or all her fault. See? Or how about addiction? Who is responsible for addiction? Huh?
You are underestimating yourself and you become addicted, I think.
Who is responsible for addiction?
Yourself.
Yes,
You could say a lot of things, though. You could say your parents, because your parents were addicts. You could say
Yeah.
friends who got you involved. You could say it's your lifestyle.
Yeah,
I think that
very
you are
fault.
responsible for
You
it.
see, some parents, I know parents, they give the kid 8 years old
Yeah.
a beer to
Oh,
drink.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And they become
And some
alcoholics.
kids were addicted before they were born.
Yeah.
And there are two schools of thought, okay? There are two schools of thought. One school of thought saying that if you are a drug addict, you're responsible for the onset. In other words, you're responsible for getting started. But you are responsible for the offset. The offset. You know why? Because the drug is so powerful that when you consume the drug, it changes your brain chemistry, it creates chemical dependency, it becomes a disease which can only be treated with drugs and medicine, whatever. So you're responsible for the onset, but you're not responsible for the offset. Another school of thought said that, well, addiction is not a medical problem. Addiction is an adaptation problem. It's a behavioral problem. You know why you use drugs? Because you can't handle the problem in life. You don't know how to adapt. You can't handle the stress, the loneliness, the depression. You don't feel comfortable living under your own skin. You want to escape from the world. Or Franco said, remember Franco said, addiction is one of the neurotic triad. Depression, aggression, and addiction. The three are the neurotic triad. You can't cope. So in order to get rid of addiction, you are responsible for learning how to cope with your problems without resorting to drugs. Right? That's what goes out. But even if you say, oh, addiction is a disease over which I have no power, but you still have the ability of checking yourself in a rehab, of going to see a doctor for help, right? You still have to cry for help. Now, how about day rape? Are you familiar with day rape? What's day rape? Like, a young man or young woman or man or woman, they will date, right? Take your time. They flirt with each other and a regular chemistry, you know, they touch each other, play for scene or whatever. Eh? so they are ready to, you know, to get intimate. Okay. So the guy say, well, what do we count on this? The children don't listen. Okay. The guy said, well, why don't you come to my apartment for another drink? The girl said, why not? They hug each other, holding hands, kissing each other, and go to the apartment and have another drink, okay? They said, get intimate, and the girl then resist, they seem to enjoy it, and both get hot. And the next thing they know is that when the girl woke up in the morning, guy is beside him, both are naked. So he said, oh my God, what have I done? I don't remember a thing, you know, I black out. So she regret. She regret for having sex with this guy, whom he hardly knew. So she sued him for rape. This happened many times there, on campus and off campus. So who is responsible?
The addiction.
Huh?
Both.
Both, right?
Yeah.
Does the rule have a case? Does it have a case?
Yeah.
Huh? She had a case to sue the guy?
Not to sue him, but that's a tricky situation, though. I think
I see.
it's
I think
tricky.
it depends on the circumstances.
Yeah, it's a situation that's tricky.
The circumstances that she never say no.
Yeah.
She willingly, what do you expect? At night, 12 o'clock, go to the guy's apartment.
She was who?
What do you expect? You expect a prayer meeting in the guy's apartment?
Well, if they're Christian, if they're young Christian people, then maybe
You got a
they
prayer
could have a
meeting,
prayer
it's hard
meeting.
work. But what do you expect? I mean, the guy is a saint, a monk,
Yeah.
right? Simple as that.
Yeah, there has to be these ground rules, isn't there? Ground rules.
Huh?
There has to be ground rules.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm
So
not-
Sure.
you never say no. You went to the apartment at 12 o'clock, continue to drink, hugging, kissing, everything. And then you go both get so hard and went all the way. And wake up, oh, I regret. It's too late. Right? So, how about depression? Who is responsible for depression?
I think that again, it's up to each person.
Well, generally, who knows?
No, it's
Yeah,
a combination
who-
of
who is-
personality and your environment, you know, and what's going on.
What's
in your
going on
life.
in your life?
It's a lot of factors that get into depression.
As long as you're talking non-chemical kind of depression, right? Like it's
Well,
not in the belts and
but it could be go to the gene, the imbalance, the brain chemistry, the manufacturer. But if it's simple depression, or recover from depression, who is responsible? I mean, think about that, okay? The fish needs what? The fish needs water, right? You may take the fish out of water, what happens to the fish? The fish will depressed, right?
yeah, very depressed.
Very sad, depressed, and then you actually die, right?
If you put him fast back, it will be okay.
Yeah. And how about any animals? Like tiger, lion, would they get depressed and put them in the zoo?
Yeah.
You know why? They are away from their natural environment,
Yeah.
right? You agree with me, right? You get them TV, toys, but they still feel depressed. They want to be back to nature, right?
You need to be free.
Huh?
You need to be free.
Really? Oh yeah, Willie story, right? The Willie story. Set Willie free, right? He'll be happy. Oh, lion, born free, right? Now, what is the natural human environment? We're human beings.
To be surrounded by other people.
No.
People need people, right? Now you put people in concrete blocks, in a tiny little room, cut off with all relationship, displaced, disfranchised, alienated, cut off from all meaningful relationship. What do you expect?
Loneliness and
No,
depression.
Depression.
that person will be depressed, right? All right? But we're taken away from the natural environment, which means people, closeness, right? I put a little box that go to jail. Of course you'll be depressed. Will you be depressed if you lock down your box? You'll be depressed too. So, well, look at the factors, see? There are many factors that contribute to our problem, right? But still, there's something you can play, right? So even when you're depressed, you can seek help, okay? You join a group like this, which is free. There's still things you can do, right?
You go to library, you do many things.
Yeah,
You go
yeah. Or you carry a sign, stand on the street, say, I'm depressed, I need help. Right? You get attention, right? Some people come, oh, why are you so sad, you know? I took have a friend. There's so much you can do, right?